Patchy Football Houston, what can you see the price of Ape and AMC combined to make? And Dusty Baker killed Mark Pryor's career. I don't know enough about Dusty Baker coaching Mark Pryor to make a comment on that, but I would reason to believe that the moment they get combined and made one, and then they do a reverse split, or they reverse split and then combine, whatever the combination might be, I would venture to guess that it'd probably be around $50, maybe 60, somewhere around there. Unless it gets shorted heavily right before they do the combination, then it'll be lower than that. But right now, $50 to $60 per share. Andrew Freeman, thoughts on AMC? Half of Twitter thinks Adam Arons is a hero and AMC will moon. Can you explain both sides? How can people's convictions be so polar when we all see the same info? I mean, every time Marius cuts an AMC video out of my 2-hour-long live shows, he really makes the most inflammatory titles he possibly can. And man, the comments just hate me. So I'm sure Marius will do his job, and he'll cut a little 5-minute bit out of this, and he'll put a title on it that's absolutely inflammatory, and the AMC crowd will hop on and just eviscerate me in the comments. But okay, we'll talk about what could happen, right? And I lean towards the more pessimistic side, and we had AMC Bigums on here. He was much more optimistic. We both explained our sides to each other, and I accepted that his optimistic side is possible, and he accepted that my pessimistic side is terrifying but possible. And so that's where we sit. The original idea was they had this poison pill, 5 billion plus shares that could be dumped at a moment's time to shareholders in an effort to keep the ability of another corporation to do a hostile takeover of AMC. And these were created in 2013 or something. So about 10 years ago, they were created and authorized and never used. And then Adam Arons was like, hey, I got a gotcha that will screw over everyone. We are going to release those shares. We're going to give a 1-for-1 for every single solitary shareholder. They'll break off of AMC and they'll trade as a preferred share alongside it. It'll have a fraction of the voting power. And that's why it's going to trade. I think the original idea was it would allow Adam Arons to sell hundreds of millions of shares and dilute the float without having to get permission from the shareholders to do it, because they already had permission from 2013 to do this thing, and that's what they're going to be doing. Now, another thing came into play because it's seen as a dividend. It's something you have to provide. If you've borrowed shares, you have to be able to provide this dividend share to those you borrowed. And so it could have been used as a trap for the short shareholders. But it can't be a trap if you sell them before the T90, when you'd have to provide that dividend, when you're in default and they force you to provide the dividend. And Adam Arons sold 300 million of them before that and just killed any hope of the T90 causing the price of the ape shares to skyrocket. So that's out. My problem is that if he wasn't going to play for T90 and force them to cover this position in ape shares, then why did he wait to sell when the share price was like 66 cents a share? Why didn't he sell 300 million shares when it was $10 or $7 or $6, right? Why did he wait? And why did he sell only directly to hedge funds? Why didn't he offer it to the market? If you're going to sell the shares, why don't you sell them when the price is hot? Why do you sell them when the price is low and you sell them at a discount? Like the share price is trading at 67 cents a share. He sold for 58 cents a share to the hedge funds. It's like he gave them a dark pool discount special. And people are like, oh, he wrote off some debt that way. Okay. of their $5.5 billion in debt, he wrote off what? 200 million? Cool. Right? So now he sells this hedge fund, and he says to the hedge fund, you can have these shares at a discount if you vote my way and you don't sell any of them for 90 days. And the hedge fund's like, cool. And then he presents this vote to combine the tickers and do a reverse split, or do a reverse split and combine the tickers. However, I don't give a shit how it goes. It's going to be the same result. And then immediately grants a waiver to the hedge funds for them to sell like 26 million shares. Okay. So now what it comes down to is Adam Arons needs to pay off a boatload of debt. Right? They got to pay off a whole bunch of debt. That's the only way the company will be profitable, because so much of their money is going into the interest rates servicing these loans, right? So they can get rid of that debt, then they don't have those interest payments to pay anymore. Easy street. So when they combine everything and the price becomes 10 times what it is now, like again, you have 1/10 the number of shares, becomes one. He's going to have to sell 100 to 200 million shares of stock and double the float or more, because there'll be about 150 million shares in the float. If he sells another 100 million, 200 million, he'll very much likely double the entire number of authorized shares that are out there. Okay, at 50, 60 bucks, it might be calculator time. Let's bring out the calculator. Okay, gotta turn off the Google Earth to get there. The Chrome, turn on the calculator. Calculator's on. Okay, so if they're gonna try and cover all the debt, $5 billion worth, right? So say it's 5 billion, and at 50 bucks a share, this is easy math, gives us 100 million shares, right? But if starting to dump those shares in the market causes it to halve in price down to 25 bucks, you only get 200 million shares. That's why the 100 million to 200 million range is probably pretty accurate. Okay. Now, if it's $5 billion, do a little math here. If it's $5 billion and there's 4 million shareholders, he sells directly to the market to people who currently have shares. Like they're the ones who are interested in buying. You're looking at about $1,250 per shareholder to buy more stock to maintain control of the company. Because the 300 million shares he sold to Antara gives them right now 25, 30% of the company as it stands. So after everything's, all the moving and shaking is done, all the reverse splits and the recombinations happen, they'll have 25 to 30% of the vote. Okay. If Adam Arons sells these two at the market to retail holders who have the opportunity to buy them, then they can maintain control of the company, and the hedge funds do not have control of the company. If he takes those 100 to 200 million shares and he sells them directly to the hedge funds, as he did with Ape, as he did with Mudrick, and so on, then very realistically, right? So if we've got, after combination, we have 150 million shares, and 25% is owned by hedge funds. So 37 million of them. So that gives us about 112 million or so, give or take. So let's say 112 million shares. Too many twos. I cannot type to save my life. 112 million shares. This is what, basically retail owns, somewhere around there, probably a little bit less than that because there are a couple institutions involved and a few insiders, but 112 million shares. And then suddenly it's only 100 million, right? So the float's 250 million. Float's 250 million, 37 million of which are owned by 37 million 500 owned by hedge funds, plus another 100 million. Right, so we're at 137 million. Divide that by the 250 million we'd have total. Oops. That would give hedge funds 55% of the company. If he sold directly to hedge funds, just 100 million shares. They would have 55% of the country, a controlling interest in the company. So that's my worry, is that Adam Arons sells this stuff not at market, not to his current investors, retail investors, but sells it to hedge funds, and the hedge funds control 55% of the company. Right? So he takes this money, he pays off debt, cool. Right? That's a good thing to do. You want to pay off debt so you don't have to be paying all those interest rates anymore. But now the voting power is hedge funds. And what do those hedge funds do when they have controlling interests in a tenuous company? They say, hey, you're going to fill your board with our guys. And our guys are going to go on your board, and our guys are going to be your VP of marketing and your VP of logistics and your VP of, retail, whatever. Like, you're going to have hedge fund dudes at every position in that company. And they go, sweet, the stock price is $40. We can drive this sucker down to zero like we did with Regal. And we're going to make a fortune because we've got a huge price drop to do. We can go $50 to zero, and we'll make so much money selling so many fake shares and destroying this company from the inside. So if Adam Arons sells to hedge funds, that is exactly what's going to happen. It won't matter if they pay off debt because they will go in, over leverage the company again to the tune of billions of dollars, give themselves billions of dollars in bonuses, declare bankruptcy, and walk away. They'll just do it all over again. Or Adam Arons takes that money. He goes, I want to pay off a little bit of debt here, and then I'm going to go and try and buy Regal. And he's going to buy, a whole bunch of failing theaters all over the world with a whole bunch more debt attached to them. And they're going to be in the same boat, right? So those are the bad options. Now, Bigums has the more optimistic side. And he's like, hey, Adam's not going to sell to the hedge funds. He's going to sell to retail. And when he does, retail will maintain a large control of the company. The debt will be paid off and will be sitting pretty, which is what GameStop did, and what they should do. And I just don't see that as the type of thing Adam Arons does, because twice now he's sold a large portion of shares via dark pool directly to hedge funds. And that's just at a discount, at cheaper than what the stock was currently trading, both times. And that begins to set a pattern, right? The fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me type thing. Granted, he could totally sell to retail, and we're like, cool. And everyone throws in an average of $1,200. We buy up all those shares. If he doesn't, I'm going to nanny boo boo everybody and be like, I told you so. And if I'm wrong and he sells to retail, I will say, hey, I'm wrong. Adam Arons right. I'm a piece of shit. He redeemed himself, right? And those are basically the options. I'm just pessimistic because he keeps doing the wrong thing. every opportunity he has to do something that's going to kick ass, he just doesn't, and it's disappointing. The cost basis for half people in this chat who have AMC is 4 or 5 times whatever the current price is right now, probably. So that's not, the stock price is not going, dumping 100 million shares in the market is not going to cause the stock price to suddenly go from $50 to $500. That's not how it works. When Silver Lake, I can't remember, the big bond holder that had the convertible bonds, the stock price went above $13. All of a sudden, 300 million or whatever shares were created for the outfit, and I think it's called Silver Lake. And the stock price went from $25 down to $5 instantly. It took retail going, oh, it's $5, and go nom 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 for 5 months to get the price to jump in June of 2021. So it's not the dilution itself isn't the act that causes the stock price to climb. It's retail being super excited at a time when shorts have to cover. That's it. So if you're dumping 100 million shares in the market to a bunch of hedge funds, shorts won't have to cover anything. They'll present so many shares available for borrowing or for identification, for locating to fit the reg show rules, that the price isn't going to scream. If he sells to retail, that's gonna be a little bit different, because retail will hold on to those things in accounts that don't have margins with lending turned off, or they'll register them or do whatever. But it comes down to those two options. Like, is he going to sell to hedge funds or is he going to sell to retail? Let's find out. Okay. I'm going to get so many angry comments under this clip. And I just know Marius is going to make the most just inflammatory. I just know it. It's going to be like, Houston thinks AMC holders are the dumbest pieces of shit in the entire world. Fuck you. And then all these guys on Reddit are going to come on and just like want to murder me. Oh well, I get a penny from every one of their views, so that's something. Okay.